Here we go, episode 23 in the mix. Let's get down to business here on horse race bets. We've got a great race coming up here this weekend. We're going to get down to business. The Grade 2 Rebel has been moved to Sunday at Oaklawn Park because of the storms and the weather coming in, so they kind of rearranged their whole card. So Sunday is going to be the day for the Grade 2 Rebel at 1 1/16 as the contenders trying to get some more points for the Kentucky Derby. 50 points going to the winner for this race here coming up. Now, the situation here is simple. I love a closer coming from off the pace, number 13, Tiz-tastic. Okay, so we're thinking, is it going to set up for him? Yes, I think it will. Speed is super important, and I think there is going to be some speed in here. We know for a fact the winner of the Southwest, Speed King, is back in this race. He will break for the lead. Innovator, who took the lead in the Grade 3 Lecomte and almost took them all the way around, should also show some speed. I'm also expecting the Bob Baffert runner because Irad Ortiz Jr. is riding Madaket Road. Now, this horse hasn't really shown much speed on the West Coast, but I think they're going to try to make sure the horse is involved and not too far back because they're not really guaranteed to get a crazy speed duel up front. Anytime you identify two obvious speed horses in Speed King and Innovator, more often than not, one of those horses will not break well. So Speed King could have the lead to himself. Innovator could have the lead to himself. Madaket Road, I think, will be up there. And then there's the horse Smokin' Wicked. That horse is a sprinter stretching out with Tyler Gaffalione in the irons. They should be forwardly placed. And if that happens, you're guaranteed to get the nice setup that I think our horse Tiz-tastic will need. And so if they can do their little thing, push that pace on the front end, Tiz-tastic, Sandman will be making the same move, but I think Tiz-tastic will be stronger in the stretch, and he will represent better value come post time for the Rebel Sunday at Oaklawn Park. You know, talking about speed is something that's really important. It's something we really need to focus in on right now, especially this time of year. Speed horses are an extremely valuable asset when it comes to the Kentucky Derby. And that's why in the last 20 years, Bob Baffert's horses have been so prominent because he trains for speed. And if you don't have that speed, he usually doesn't do well with you in the Kentucky Derby. Point Given was a great closer, but didn't have that early speed. Found a track that was like a parking lot, they said that day, and he didn't really handle it very well and couldn't run down the horses in the stretch. Since then, Bob's had speed horses for sure. And so that's the first thing you want to look at. Not only are you looking for your Derby horse, but looking for the shape of the race. It was really easy for me back in 2005 because we still had the graded stakes earnings, and that's how you got your way into the Derby. And so you had a lot of sprinters who won sprint races or one-turn race, and they showed that speed, and they got into the Kentucky Derby. But even with basic handicapping, I was like, well, if there's like 6 or 7 horses that are really fast, aren't they going to get tired? And shouldn't the closers be picking up the pieces when they turn for home? That's exactly what happened. They went nuts on the front end. Now, that scenario can't happen again because you don't have these sprinters winning these graded stakes races and getting into the Kentucky Derby. Now you have to win these designated races. So now the speed is a bit more true. So now we have a situation where, let's say, Citizen Bull is in the gate for the first Saturday in May. I don't know who wants to run with him. Speed King, if he gets in, he probably wants to run with him. And maybe the other Baffert horses, if Baffert decides to send 2 or 3 of his speed horses. Barnes, if he gets in there, he might want to run with. Getaway Car, if he gets in, we know he wants to be forwardly placed. He's tough. Don't know if he's good enough to hang with Citizen Bull, but he wants to be up there. So that's really important. So that's why we really start looking at these speed horses coming out of these prep races. Magnitude, the winner of the Risen Star, obviously off the Derby trail, not going to run. But that's not a speed horse. He just jumped to the lead and took advantage because the other horses weren't ready and the riders, for whatever reason, chose not to be aggressive with their speed horses. Fine. Don't have to worry about Magnitude, but we do have to keep an eye on Speed King and Innovator this weekend. They are going to be really important, especially when you come to, post time for the Derby. If you've got a true speed horse, you have a pretty big advantage. Speed hasn't been really utilized since 1988, when Winning Colors popped out of the gate, took them all the way around as the speed, and then after that, it took a long time for trainers or maybe even the right runner to come along. Even when Bob Baffert went on the front end, it was accidental. And what I mean by that is, in 2002, Bob didn't have a Derby horse, so they went and bought a Derby horse. They went and bought War Emblem. It cost them $1 million. They bought this horse after he won the Illinois Derby because he was just absolute speed, and Bob didn't have anybody for the Derby. He put that horse in. I still remember he told me on Fox Sports, he was like, "Hey, Ken, we were doing our Kentucky Derby preview on Best Damn Sports Show period, and I'm talking to him with Tom Arnold. He's like, Ken, listen to me. You're the only one that understands this. My horse is faster than everybody else. They're not going to be able to catch him." And I dismissed him because I'm like, "You just bought this horse, bro. What are you talking about?" And he was right. But from that point on, I've been really paying attention to the possibility of lone speed. And so only 4 horses have really been able to pop out there and take them all the way around. War Emblem in 2002, Always Dreaming on that off track in 2017 got out there and just kept on going. You know, I'm going to say Justify. Even though he was sitting behind a horse for the opening quarter, he took over and just ran away from that field. So he was definitely kind of early speed. Of course, Authentic, right? Pops out of the gate. No one really goes. So Johnny V's like, "Y'all don't want to go?" So he eases his way up to the front. Once he got there, it was a wrap for everybody else. Now, you could also say Maximum Security all the way around on the front end. Of course, when you bump horses and impede them from challenging you, that makes it a lot easier. That's why you're disqualified. And then Medina Spirit, another one, went straight to the front end. And Mandaloon could not get by in the stretch. So speed, really, really valuable. So that's why when I talk about Derby horses, I start with Bob Baffert. I start there because he just knows how to train horses for speed and how to get them ready to go. So continue to watch these prep races, but look for speed that's real. If you want to look at buyer speed figures and that stuff, that's fine. But nothing will really do better than the eye test. What did you see? Did you watch the way the horse was running? Like, you can see. Like, if you even go back to the late, great Medina Spirit, if you go back and watch his prep races on the West Coast, you saw that horse was like, once he got to the front, you're not going to pass him. So you're looking for those elements in some of these horses, in some of these races coming your way. All right, so that's talking about the Rebel, talking about the Derby. We have another Kentucky Derby prep race coming up this weekend, but you are not going to find your Derby horse in the Battaglia Memorial. You will not. This race is for betting, not for trying to scout Derby horses. And if you're trying to win this race and make some money, Baby Max, to me, is the only horse worth betting that'll pay a decent price. First Resort will probably get bet down, and I don't really trust that horse to begin with. But Baby Max has already shown that he loves the synthetic, and he's got a nice little turn of foot. I'm thinking he might be 7-2 or 9-2. If I get 9-2 on that horse, awesome. It's going to be fantastic. It's going to be fantastic. So think about that horse as we get ready to go. All right, so now we're going to get into our action here on this Thursday. We're going to play at the fairgrounds. They've taken races off the turf course, but I think the late pick 5 is hittable without spending a lot of money. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to work with here in this late pick 5, starting in race number 6 on the card from the fairgrounds on this Thursday. It's not really an a-hole ticket. It's more of a situation where I don't really think you have to do a whole lot to hit it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And in fact, if you believe it's this simple, then keep it this simple. So in the first leg, that's race number 6, I think Native Star to the inside is going to be in good position, and with that really long stretch there at the fairgrounds, he may be able to wear them down. He's going to need some help because the 9, Le Monstre Rapide, is the speed to the outside. And we'll see if a really good front-end rider by the name of Jose Ortiz, if he goes to the front with the 2, Kenmore West, that's the only other runner that can challenge the 9. If he doesn't go out there, the 9's probably going to gallop all the way around the track, and maybe the 1 catches him, and maybe they don't. So I'm really only using horses in the first 2 legs. Race number 7, off the turf. Now going a mile. The 9, Front and Silver, with Jareth Loveberry, I think going to be in a really good spot. The 13 is the horse that's entered for main track only. That's Miss Rosie. And she's already shown that she really likes that track there. And I think she could be in a good position. I don't know if she's going to dictate the pace. I think she might try to sit just off. And she should have the first crack on whoever tries to get out there and run away from the field. Not a tremendous amount of speed in the race. So actually the 6 in BJ's Honor's got some speed, but I think that the 13 will still be in the right spot, and the 9 will be able to run them down. After that, it's Single City, baby. Race number 8. The 6 in here is Hope Mission. Just been knocking on the door the last 2 times, the first 2 starts of their career. Should be able to get it done in this maiden event going a mile and a 16th. I said should be able to get it done. But there are other runners in the race that could pose a bit of a problem. The 7 especially. It's going to be interesting in this race. But I really, really believe, also the 4, Martingale. But I still feel like the 6 is a solid single in that race. Race number 9, this one also taken off the turf course, and now a mile and a 16th. There's speed in here. Storm the Streets. I think this horse should be able just to get the lead and run them all the way around. Diamond Eye Jack, the 9, is going to try to stay close. Same thing with the 7, Native Runner, but I don't think that they can. So I'm going to just go ahead and single the 4, Storm the Streets, Mitchell Merle. Get on out of the gate, man, and get Ghost. Same thing applies in race number 10. We're alive, so why not just single to the speed? Deal of Faith is definitely a front-end runner. The only question, does the 7, Star A Priority, challenge? He's got some speed, but I just don't know if he's going to be able to challenge. So, pardon me, let's just go ahead and single. Keep it simple. Hopefully, it works out. And the beauty of this is, if we're right, we're going to get paid. And if we're wrong, we're only going to lose $20. 1, 9, 9, 13, and then single 6, 4, 3. If we're knocked out in one of the 2 first legs, we simply come right back with a pick 3, straight cold. 6, 4, 3, and see if we can make it happen that way. All right, a lot to watch for as we get closer to our weekend. Everything happening Saturday and Sunday with the racing at Turfway Park and at Oaklawn for those Derby preps. And of course, we'll play the action on this Thursday at the fairgrounds and get some money to pad the bankroll, right? Enhance our confidence and get into the weekend ready to rock. That's going to do it in the meantime and in between time. And until next time, that's a wrap on episode number 23 here on Horse Race Bets with Ken Rudolph. We'll see you next time. In the meantime, good luck and enjoy whatever you're into.